Hey everybody, Tom here with Hidden Beats, and today we are talking with John Corabi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, bud. How are you?
Pretty good. I got a sick kid, so it's been a little bit of a stressful couple days. Other than that, not too bad.
Um, I find if you just duct tape them to a wall and put food above them and a bucket below them, they're fine.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to next, anyways.
But you have to do it in front of a wall that has a TV in front of it. It's all good.
Well, I've got TVs and everywhere, so I can twist them and turn them wherever I need to.
You're set.
Yeah. So we're here to talk to you a bit today about the Dead Daisies and your upcoming tour and album, which is going to be excellent.
Yes. It's well, the album is out already for pre-sale on the deaddaisies.com. I believe I'm not totally sure. I don't have it in front of me. I believe the actual date is like August 18th, or I believe. And it's a best of record.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of everything that we've done for the last 10 years. It includes their very, very, very original singer, John Stevens, myself, Glenn Hughes. And right now we're excited to be hanging again. And I got to rehearse with the guys about a month ago, and it was like I never left. We were kidding around, goofing off, and we're just right now trying to put a kick-ass set together that includes a little music from everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and just get out there and have some fun.
Yeah, you guys are actually stopping. I'm based in Ottawa, Ontario. You guys are here. I think it's one of the last days of that tour, I think.
Yeah, it's oddly enough, I'm on tour right now with Tom Kiefer and Winger as well, and it's funny. I just realized it the other day, but I'm playing the exact same place, like in like a week,
Nice.
just doing an acoustic thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be interesting.
So for those who are kind of curious, how did you get into music yourself? I mean, you've been doing this a fair bit. How did it all start for you?
You know what? I it's the weirdest thing because nobody in my family was musical at all.
Okay.
Um, and I saw like obviously I got into them very late in the game because I was only, I think, 5 or 6 years old when the Beatles came to America. But um, I saw this video of it was like this kind of thing that encapsulated all of the Beatles visits to the Ed Sullivan Show.
Okay.
And I just saw this whole, like, the mop top clean cut guys doing She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah. And then I saw the acid taking Sergeant Pepper era, the psychedelic Beatles
Mhm.
um, doing, I believe it was either Ticket to Ride or Hello Goodbye. And then I saw them doing like Hey Jude, sitting around the piano. And I was just kind of fascinated by it. And for some apparent reason, my parents decided to get me a Sears Silvertone acoustic guitar for Christmas.
Okay.
And I didn't ask for it. They just got me that. They got me two gifts that year. They got me an acoustic guitar and a microscope. I think they were hoping that I'd be a little more interested in the microscope,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I ever took it out of the box. Once I got the guitar, I just started goofing off with it. Um, I did struggle a little bit. I was taking lessons at a Catholic school from a nun,
Okay.
um, which kind of soured me a little bit on it. But then I had friends that were taking lessons from other instructors, and I really got into it. And I actually entered a talent contest at my Catholic school and won. And at that point, the bug hit me because there was, probably 400 or 500 people in the audience. I sang a couple of songs with a band,
Mm-hmm.
and we won the contest. We got a great reception from everybody clapping and all this other stuff. And then my dad took me out afterwards for pizza. And I was like, well, that was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is what I want to do with my life. And I just got into it. And then I just started getting, like, later again turned on to bands like Zeppelin, Aerosmith, David Bowie, Credence, like all that great classic rock stuff. And I was off to the races, no turning back at that point.
Mm-hmm. And then, joining up with the Daisies at, I think it was 2015 is what I read in the notes. And you
Yep,
guys have
I
been
started.
doing for a bit now.
Yeah, I started with them in 2015. I did leave the band in 19 for a couple of years. They had Glenn Hughes, whatever, and I just came back, a few months ago. Had our first rehearsals, and it was like I never left. You know what I mean? It was we just got right back into the swing of things. So
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to everything.
For sure. How do you think the music has evolved over, the decade of rock and roll?
Well, I got to be honest with you. Like, we just write. Um, the way we write, we're if I could pretty much speak for everybody in the band. I think we're all just you know kids of that 70s classic rock thing, and so we just write the way we write. The thing that's different now is the method of getting the music out there to people.
Hmm.
There is no MTV. There is, radio is scarce. um and then you don't really have people buying records anymore. It's more like streams. It's all about streams. Stream this, stream that, whatever.
Yeah.
um so it's a little different. And we're all figuring it out as we go, and we're adjusting and doing what we can. But as far as the writing goes, man, we just write the way we write,
Hmm.
and hope that everybody likes it.
No, I mean, it seems like it's doing its job, really. Music's great. I love listening to it. And even for you guys for streaming, you've been doing pretty decent numbers from what I can tell.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Like, I just saw a thing on some meme about Snoop Dogg talking about the streaming services and how dissatisfied a lot of artists are with it. But um our fans are great, dude. Like, they turn out for the shows. um like, I mean, we have fans that, even when I do like these acoustic shows, there's fans from the Daisies that will literally fly from like Japan to New York
Hmm.
to watch me do a show or whatever. And so our fans are awesome. They're really loyal to the band. They're really involved. There's a very cool interactive thing with the fans. Um, you know, but at this point, it's really hard to get to the egg, the shell. When again, no MTV, no minimal amount of radio. So we're just doing what we can. And we're the thing that the band, or that I love about the band, is that our thing is word of mouth. The
Hmm.
fans do all of the advertising for us. And that that's that's just fine with me in my book.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Is there any memorable fan moments that come to top of your head there that stood out above anyone else?
I got to be honest with you. I think one of the most, uh, as far as the Daisies go, I would have to say there's a couple of really significant moments for me. Was our first trip legally going to do some shows in Cuba.
Okay.
Um, we went down there, and it was just insanity, um, in a really good way. And then probably the next big thing was we played with a 60-piece orchestra, and there was this festival. They had to change the name of it, but it was called the Woodstock Peace or Love and Peace Festival in Poland.
Okay.
And we headlined one night with a 60-piece orchestra for about, I don't know, 250 to 300,000 people. And it was hair raising to say the least. It was
Mhm.
amazing. So
I would imagine
it's
looking out there and seeing that many people is something.
it was even still now, like I'll show people photos of it and I literally have to like expand the picture
Hmm.
so that I can go, you see all the way back there? Yeah, it was farther than that. Like it's
Yeah.
just a sea of people. It was insane. And the response that we got was just nothing short of, you know, it was just amazing. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty crazy. Is do you have like a routine you do to keep yourself grounded outside of music? I mean, a lot of that stuff probably has to be almost overwhelming at times, so there has to be a way to center yourself.
No, honestly, I've never been that guy. Like it's weird. Like all through all of the bands that I was in, even in the insanity of Motley Crue, um, I've unfortunately been married 3 times. Um, but I got married very young, and I was married to a girl that already had a daughter. So from a very early age, I just kind of like I was able to separate everything. Like I would go and do what I do, and then I would come home and I was like boyfriend, husband, dad.
Hmm.
Um, so when I get a little bit, if I get a little bit over the top, my wife just says, "Hey, take out the trash." And I'm
Okay.
right back into you know what I mean? So but I've never been like an overly excessive about anything. I like a few cocktails, with my friends, my bandmates after the show. Um, but it's not like a thing where I drink till I'm falling down on my face and throwing up and whatever. I've never been that guy. So
Hmm.
I don't really have an excessive. I'm pretty boring, to be honest with you. I could have just said that right in the beginning, but whatever. Um, I'm just pretty normal to begin with. So
I mean that probably makes things longevity a little bit easier for you too.
yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the bullshit, and uh, it's just so I just always look at people that were like doing drugs and just drinking excessively, you know, with like a complete disregard, honestly, to the fans in the show.
Hmm.
If you're drinking so much that you walk on stage and you sound like shit, you can't remember things, or you're kind of doing everybody a disservice. So I've always kind of kept that in mind. Like I just want to, when I walk on stage, I want to be focused. Even to this day, I've never drank before a show. I always wait till after, and
Yeah.
then it's in moderation. I'll just have a couple, just enough to make myself tired, and then I go to bed. Done. See ya.
Hey, it makes sense. That's probably a nice way to do it for sure.
Eh, and to each his own. Like everybody handles things differently. To me, it was always about being prepared for that, regardless of how long the shows are.
Hmm.
I just want to make sure that when I walk on stage and I get done, that I've given the audience a decent show, and they
Yeah.
can walk out going, okay, he actually A, gives a shit, and B, that was a cool show.
Yeah. When you guys are here in Ottawa, the venue you're going to perform at is it gets very hot very quick. So it's going to be a nice, sticky, greasy rock and roll show. It should be pretty fun for sure.
I've played there a few times already. I've
Okay.
been there. Yeah, I did a show there with my solo band, the Breast Monkey. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a solo show there with my band. I've done a couple of acoustic shows there with Russ from the Killer Dwarfs.
Oh,
I'm actually going to be there, like I said, in a, God, I think July 3rd or 4th, July 4th, and then I'm coming back up with the Daisies. So that place by the end of this year will probably be like home away from home.
for sure. That's pretty much where I'm at most of the time. So I do a lot of photography and live concert coverage itself too. So I'm there doing a lot of shows also.
All right. Well, I'll see you up there. We'll have a beer and on July 4th weekend.
Sounds good to me. Is what can fans expect from the best of album? I'm sure there's probably a lot of, trying to pick what fits into that best of and see if you can make it work for everyone. How
You know what? At the end of the day, even when you put set lists together, you're not going to please everybody.
Mhm.
Uh, so I think our managers, a few months back, they basically ran a post on all the social media sites and said, "Hey guys, what's your favorite Dead Daisy songs?"
Okay.
And from the feedback they got, I think that they were able to set, uh, I think they were able to sit there and go, okay, these 10 or 12 songs got the most votes, if you will.
Mhm.
Let's put these on the record. And then there's a couple bonus tracks on there too that have never been released by Mr. Glenn Hughes that are just fucking awesome. So but again, I'm like, I'm a huge, for example, I'm a huge Aerosmith fan,
Mhm.
and I go to see Aerosmith, and I want to hear the oddities.
Yeah.
It's like I love Walk This Way and Sweet Emotion and Dream On and all those, but I want to hear the odd songs. I want to hear the songs like Nobody's Fault or you know what I mean? So you're never going to please everybody. You just do the best you can. And I love the fact that we're putting this out and we're saying, hey, we had an amazing 10 years. Here's our 10-year mark. This is what we've done so far. Get ready for what we're going to do in the future. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
No, it should be fun and everyone's gonna love something. If you're a fan of music, you'll love something on the album for sure.
Well, and it's funny too, like, there's even fans that uh came into this thing because of Glenn Hughes and they had never heard the 3 or 4 records that I did with the band, or even I guess they did a record and an EP before I joined with the first singer.
Mhm.
So there's some, or again, some fans that were interested in the band when I was there, and then when I left, they weren't, and but they didn't know about the old guy. So this is just a way for everybody to go, hey, here's what we've done so far, and we're really excited about the future, and enjoy it. There's more to come, and hope to see you on tour.
Mhm. I think my favorite thing is I like the fact that there is a little bit of everyone in there. You can feel different pieces and I enjoy more of it that way myself.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, there's one of the songs there's one song that's on the record that I absolutely love, and it's from the original singer, John Stevens, who I think is a brilliant singer.
Mhm.
Um, and it's this little kind of uh I can't explain it. It's like almost like a pop song, and it's called, Miles in Front of Me.
Mhm.
And I fucking love that song. It's a great tune, but like even my wife, who was very familiar with my music that I did with them, when I played her that song, she was like, wow, who is this? And I go, it's the Dead Daisies from the first record they did with John Stevens. And she loves that song now. She's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's great. So it's going to be cool because it may open up some of the Glenn Hughes fans to John Stevens, and the John Stevens fans to Glenn Hughes and myself. And you know what I mean? It's an awesome, cool. It's just cool.
For sure. Now I have a few fun questions I like to ask, and especially for first time interviews, for myself, it's always interesting. And first one on my list is What's one thing you think should be asked more in an interview scenario that's not asked enough?
Wow. Um, I don't know, dude. That's a good question.
It's one of my favorites because it helps me curate questions a little bit more too.
Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna, that's a really weird question because if you talk politics, you're opening a can. If
Hmm.
you talk, you know what I mean? So I don't really know, man. I think I've been asked just about every question on earth. Um, I mean, I've been asked if I was ever to retire, where would I want to live? You know what I mean? So you stumped me with that one. I don't really have an answer for that. I don't know. I can't think of anything.
And that's the fun of that question because it makes you think of something and then sometimes nothing.
Yeah, and it's weird because all the things that I could have answered it with, I immediately like I was sitting there going, well, okay, you could ask people, what do you think of the state of the world? But then that
Hmm.
opens you up for political discussion, and then that's just the kiss of death for
Yep.
everybody.
That's for sure.
So I just leave that alone.
Well, it's a good one to contemplate on, and when I see you coming up, maybe you'll have an answer for it.
I will think of that.
All righty. Is there any artists out there right now that you think people should be paying more attention to?
Um, wow. There's millions of them.
Maybe someone that
You
you're
know,
someone that you're liking right now.
rival sons.
Rival Sons, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they've got a great following, but again, it's one of those things where they do one set, they do like really good business in Europe and everywhere else in the world. And then like America, I don't know how it is in Canada, but I know like America, you know, these fucking bands can't get arrested on the radio or they don't seem to
Hmm.
get any support. And I find that in like North America, like not I can't even really count Mexico because the Mexicans are like super insanely like they freak out over uh like the whole rock and roll thing. But
Hmm.
I I just find that in like America, Canada, the support system isn't there that used to be there.
100%. You're completely right.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if, I don't know who runs your stations up there, but America, it's Clear Channel. And, they send out one playlist. It's got 20 songs on it. None of the DJs can vary from that playlist. So what you're being, what's happening is like there's 20 pieces of music that are being shoved down your throat 20 times a day.
Hmm.
And it's unfortunate because there's a gazillion bands out right now that are struggling to get their head above water. And it's like I sit and wonder sometimes how new bands are even able to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, my son who plays in my solo band, he's got some like other bands that he plays with, and they go on tour, and it is just brutal for them.
Hmm.
At least with me, I've got a history where I can go out and I can command a certain amount of money to come in and play a show. But a new band, radio isn't going to touch them. They're not going to play their new music. And it's truly about just go, you know, having the stamina to just keep going when every roadblock is being put in front of you. So I just that's the thing for me. Like I said the Rival Sons right off the top in my head, but there's a million bands that are still struggling to get above water that nobody will ever hear.
Yeah.
And it blows. It blows.
Yeah, it is that way here in Canada. We have like a playlist that you can expect to hear probably every time you listen to a radio.
Yeah, you'll hear Triumph, you'll hear Rush, you'll hear all those bands that have sold, a ton of records. And then there's probably, thousands of other Canadian bands that are equally as good that nobody will ever know about. And it's just crazy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, for sure. My last question, I guess, is kind of a two-parter. First off is, what do you hope people take away from the Dead Daisies music?
I listen, dude, the state of the world right now, like I just want people to come and for the hour and a half, 2 hours that we're on stage, just forget their troubles, forget about their bills that they're late on, forget about all the bullshit that they're seeing on the news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and just come, enjoy the music, and have some fucking fun. That's really that's our motto in the nutshell, is just have fun. And looking forward to it. You know what I mean?
Does that translate into what motivates you to keep pursuing the music career?
You know what? It's a little late in the game for me to become a plumber at this point. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I listen, I'm like a lot of other artists. I'm this guy that's just kind of I've I've just kind of coasted through my career. I've been in a bunch of different bands, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it. It wasn't because I wanted to be in, 5 or 6 bands. It was just the cards that life dealt me. And I look at things two ways. There's a part of me that goes, okay, what do I need to do to be more like Steven Tyler or those guys that are just massive. And then there's another part of me that goes, you know what, dude, you're still doing this 35 years later. Life is good. You know what I mean? Like, and that guy is also, like a lot of these new bands, trying to figure out how to keep up with the music business. Okay, we don't have radio, we don't have MTV, we don't have record sales, we have streams now. How do I to travel around the world, play an A chord, sing a melody over it, and tell people an occasional bad joke, and I make a decent living out of it. So life is good.
For sure. That's all the notes I have written down here anyways. And it was great getting to talk to you, and we're going to have a beer for sure when you get here in town. Is there any last words of wisdom you want to leave with anyone?
You know what? We only go around once, kids. Enjoy life.
That's a pretty good one. So yeah, we're looking for, I'm going to make sure to link everything for the Daisies and albums and socials and all that stuff so people can find you guys. And we're going to have a pretty good party, I think, when you guys are coming to town.
I hope so. And trust me, when I get up there on the 4th of July 4th, I'm going to remind everybody that I'll be right back there a month later. So it's going to be awesome.
It'll be great. Well, I'll let it here, and you can enjoy the rest of your day, and looking forward to seeing you in, I guess, geez, almost a week. It's a week now, I guess. Wow. Time fast.
Something like that.
All right.
Awesome,
Signing
buddy.
up. Have a good one.